Aaron Brignac. I am the Greenhouse Lab Aide here at the Horticultural Science Center at Johnson County Community College. So this piece is called Kansa. It's a stand-heard installation. We installed it back in 2013. Since then, it hasn't really been planted. So my boss, Stephen Young, came to me and he said, "Do you think we can just plant some petunias? Can we just bring a pop of color to it? It's been years since it's been planted." And we said, "Sure, not a big deal."
So my name's Stephen Young. I'm the greenhouse manager here. I've been at the college 10 or 11 years. I work in the greenhouse and the HSC building. Really, we had some time, I guess, last winter, not looking for things to do, but we had time on our hands, so we came up with the idea of doing something a bit different. At the time, I was thinking it was going to be cheap and cheerful petunias, just big blocks of colour, red, white and blue or something. And other people suggested it should be native plants, which turned out really good. And so that's how it came to today, with native plants.
That idea kind of snowballed into a whole big project, which is what you see now. So it's Kansas only, exclusive native.
And native plants, as you know, they just keep going and going and going. They don't need hardly any maintenance at all. If we went for petunias, we'd be watering every other day, weeding every other day. That sort of thing would be very time consuming.
And the reason we did that was because of the fact that they're so hardy. This is where they thrive, and it's on a hill. There's lots of sunlight, as you can see today, very hot. So we have to have plants that are adapted to that. 33 different species. All of them that we chose to plant are native to be able to adapt and grow in that kind of environment.
My name is Courtney Masterson. I'm an ecologist with Native Lands LLC, which is a business I started about 5 years ago, just after I finished grad school at KU. And I actually started here at Johnson County Community College doing environmental coursework and art coursework, and went on to get a few science degrees afterwards at local universities. This garden space utilizes only species that are native to northeastern Kansas, where we are, and those that are adapted to hot, dry conditions. So when you visit the space, maybe the first thing you'll notice is that intense sunlight, intense heat, and then the stone of the sculpture itself reflects heat back at you. So you're just it's almost like walking into a sauna. And that is par for the course for native plants that live in prairie, especially dry prairies. So what we did was pull from that plant palette of dry prairie species and utilize them in a really showy way here. So not only are the plants going to be happy, but we'll be happy. It'll be aesthetically pleasing, and it'll be blooming all the time, and providing resources for wildlife all the time. We tried to utilize plants that are not just valuable to us now, but have been valuable for thousands of years and used by indigenous folks as medicine, food, or fiber, or dye plants. So you'll see plants with stories throughout the whole garden.
Plants were selected from northeast Kansas, so they are native from this part of Kansas, not just Kansas, but this part of Kansas. And there's about 6 or 8 beds there. They didn't want one plant to outdo all the other plants, so they carefully selected the plants to be compatible with each other, not to outrun all the rest.
My name's Stan Hurd, and I'm an earthworks artist, crop artist. I've been around for many years in Kansas and was invited a few years back, I can't even remember how many years back it's been, to visit the campus about the idea of doing something here, an earthwork, as it were. We found this site in the old barn, and I just loved the feel of this side of campus because it had that kind of ag feel. It's kind of like there's the city and there's the campus and all of this, and then there's this little part of rural America stuck away here, which I think is very interesting. And then the program, the horticulture, we decided that we would get students, art students, hort students, and indigenous study people, Kansas history people. The image, the design, the site, the spot became kind of a platform for coming together with all of these different groups of thought and academia to create something. A lot of people come to a campus to go to a museum or a ball game or a lecture, and when you get out here, you're out on the prairie here, man. I mean, this is, although there are buildings here, 100 years ago this was just a prairie. So this reconnects you with that, and you're kind of out on the edge of campus. And so to me, it's getting back out into nature, and now we're actually bringing. It's a little ironic. There's a prairie, and then over 100 years, it evolves and develops into a campus, and cement, and planted grasses and buildings and everything. And now we've got this little spot that we bring back to the native prairie, and they're all out there planting native prairie plants back on it. So it's a really nice symbolic effort in some ways, and so I think if people grasp that, and maybe they start researching, well, what is a purple coneflower? How did the Kiowa and the Comanche actually use that medicinally? I mean, there's a lot to unpack if you dig into this deeper. No pun intended.
Take the time to investigate how each species fits into the prairie ecosystem, but also how they were utilized by people not very different than yourself for thousands of years. So each of these species has been used either as a food, a medicine, a fiber, a dye, or it's been a story plant for the indigenous people of the area. These plants teach us strength and resilience, and they teach us about the ecosystem. So even though we are pretty far from the prairie here, you're able to observe the interactions of the ecosystem in a garden space like this. So you'll see more butterflies and more birds eating the caterpillars off the plants. And just stop, slow down, sit down, and observe the little ecosystem is my recommendation. It's worth it.
The plants are doing really well. We were all surprised. You put the plants in, and I was expecting, because the soil isn't that good over there, it's quite stony, hard clay. So we were really surprised how well they did do, how quickly they flowered. I was expecting the second year, next year, in other words, they would be coming on flowering, but no, this year they are really doing well. You can see behind me that they're flowering. The butterflies and the bees and everything else is around them. So we're really pleased with the way they are doing, yeah.
To be a part of the history of the campus in general, and then this kind of evolution towards their embrace of native plants and prairie and horticulture and sustainable ag and all of those things that are very important in the world today. And to be a part of that is gratifying, and makes me believe in the future.